Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video. Most importantly though, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by The Plain Truth, Arwin and Anthony. Good to have you all.
Good afternoon.
Yo, yo.
That was supposed to be 2 bleeps, not 1.
And it was out of time as well. Your timing was shocking then.
It was shocking. I left a gap.
Yeah, he had a little bit of a pause, so I thought he wanted me to. So, you know.
It's my fault, really. Right, let's get a bit of housekeeping out of the way, because I know you've got a bit of a presentation that you want to do on George Nathan. So we'll get straight through housekeeping and then we'll rattle on to that. So, any signs of curvature, gentlemen?
No.
Nope.
Arwin? Anything?
I said no.
Oh, you're a bit quiet, that's
you.
all. Okay. Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
No.
No?
Nope.
What about the distance to the Sun? Any evidence of
No.
Nope.
There's none.
that? Any evidence of a gas pressure being maintained without a container?
Never.
About scientific evidence of gravity?
None.
Not yet.
How about a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No.
Nah.
No. Last
No
but not
signs,
least.
no evidence.
Last but not least, what about the evidence of the presupposition itself, the R value? Any evidence of Earth's radius?
No.
Apparently, ohm is also expressed in R. Did you know that?
Distance value.
Seriously, in the electrical schematics, ohm is presented in R. It's really funny.
I always thought it was just OHM.
Right.
Fair enough. That's not Earth radius, though, so... No. Cool. Well, that concludes housekeeping nice and fast. Right, Anthony, did you want to present something?
Yes.
Okay, let's bring your screen up.
I'm doing it. Share screen and sounds. That one.
Right, you're up.
All right. I had the disdain of learning about this hangout that George Nathan had. And he spent 3 hours on this hangout, right? And I thought, the guy's going to talk nonsense. But I thought, if he's going to do 3 hours, it's only fair that I give him, a fair amount of time, because he's going to be addressing the key points that I want to address. I want someone to explain to me. So in his hangout, he deals with this neutral buoyancy state, and he deals with net forces. And I'll just show you the hangout so that just to give fair credit to him, because he spent 3 hours on this, and it is only fair. George, because most people can't even spell his name, George Nataniuk, and then it's called Discussing Buoyancy and Radar Ranging the Distance to the Sun. Now, obviously, I'm interested in radar bounce, but the buoyancy bit is where I was really most interested. So 3 hours it took him, and I was able to reduce 3 hours into three short minutes. And basically, words have meaning in physics. And it appears that what's happening is that there are words that are used in physics that are not the same words that are used mathematically. And there is a contradiction between the two. It appears that maths is a language all by itself and bears no resemblance to physics. And physics is like a physical language based on practice rather than rhetoric, and that bears no resemblance to mathematics. There appears to be an overlap between the two, and they use words that mean different things in the different contexts, which is really, really confusing. So I'll just play this little clip. He's going to start talking about forces. Now, we all know the definition of force. It's an interaction with usually a push or a pull. So in the context, that's what the definition is. We don't need to look it up. We all know it's an interaction, a push or a pull. But listen to what he says.
Let's look at forces a little more. Now, an object can have many forces acting on it simultaneously. The force in Newton's second law is the net sum of all forces acting on an object. So when we write...
Right, so he's saying that Newton's second law, it's the net sum of all the forces. That isn't what Newton's second law says. It doesn't mention anything about net forces. It simply says about force. It says force is the acceleration of mass. It doesn't say the net forces. So I don't know where he's got that from. I'm not going to call nonsense on it because I have looked into this to see whether or not net is a phrase that they do use. And they do seem to use the phrase net forces. But it's not cited in Newton's second law. So he's either ad-libbed that in or he's put it in as a misunderstanding. But either way, Newton's second law does not talk about net forces by any definition that I've found. So a citation would be needed for that because he seems to be broadening the definition of Newton's second law. That's not true. But minor point, we'll carry on.
Force equals ma. This force is the net force, not just one force.
He then goes on to do a load of maths, Wimper style. So basically, we've got to the point where he's trying to tell people what a net force is, and we all understand the concept. We all know that if you've got a force pulling one way and a force pulling the other way, and it's equal, then there's not going to be a resulting movement, right? It's going to be equal, and we understand that equilibrium. We get that, but the problem that these guys have got is they've got to show that there's this game of tug of war going on between gravity on the one state, on the one hand, and then this buoyancy that's on the other hand. But if they can't prove this tug of war, there is no tug of war. So there's no force. There's no net force either. So let's hear what he says. This is really critical because he says three things here that are nonsense. And I want you to notice how many times he says there is a force there, but it's a net force. Listen, it's almost like he's trying to hypnotize you by telling you over and over again.
The net force is zero, but there's still forces acting on the object. F1 and F2 are still acting on the object. In fact, it's going to try to stretch the object out. There's going to be internal stresses on this object with these two people pulling with a rope, trying to pull it apart. So the forces are there, even though the net force is zero. That is that they subtract. It doesn't mean that the individual forces vanish. They're still there. It's just that the net force.
So three times he's just said that the forces are still there. I mean, this is like brainwashing. But what he also stated was that there would be forces that are trying to pull this from the inside out. Well, if you're going to claim that, how are you going to then prove it? So with the egg, for example, in the water, how are you going to prove that there's a force that's trying to pull the egg apart in the vertical direction? And of course, we all know that that's nonsense. And it makes logical and reasonable and mathematical sense. But in real world, how would you prove this? And obviously, assertions without evidence can be dismissed without evidence because it's just a story. So, but this is the third time he said it now about forces still being there.
Of acting on the object has vanished or gone to zero. So that's the important thing to keep in mind, is that if the net force is zero, it doesn't mean the individual forces acting on an object have gone to zero. It's just that their vector sums have gone to zero.
So that's the fourth time he said it, and it's really important that we remember this. The forces are still there, apparently.
Now, though an object is not moving, again, there can be forces external to the object that are still present and acting on the object. However, their influences collectively cancel out. Now, let's consider an object that is immersed in a liquid like water. I have a mass M. This is the surface of the water. There's a liquid in here, and we have an object immersed in the water. I'm going to take upward as a positive direction for forces. there'll be two forces acting on this object. There's what we call a buoyant force, and there's a gravitational force.
So I'm going to stop it there because he's talking about the egg that's suspended in water. It's in this neutral state of buoyancy, right? Now, we all know that I've cited this frequently in the last couple of weeks because it is important. It's important that words have meaning, and it's important that meanings are maintained and preserved, because if you're going to change the meaning of words, we have a problem, because it means that you can rewrite laws of physics any way you wish. And if you're going to do it within the context of maths, then that's rewriting physics in the context of maths. That doesn't make it true. Now, what he's saying is that when the object is suspended in the state of neutral buoyancy, there is a force going up and there is a force going down. But we know that the definition states it's a condition which a physical body's average density is equal to the density of the fluid in which it's immersed. So he shouldn't be putting an up and down arrow. What he should be doing is he should be putting a value in there and then putting a value outside, and whatever values they are, you can pick any number you want, you can pick a color, you can pick any reference frame you want. So long as the outside matches the inside, that's the way to describe the definition that we are presented with when we search for what neutral buoyancy is. Notice how neutral buoyancy does not talk about forces. It talks in any direction. It talks about the density. So what he's doing here is completely wrong. It does not match the definition. Now, if I did something where the definition stated one thing and then I did the opposite, they'd be all over it like a rash. So why is it that George is telling people this? George knows that this is not right. He may well believe that this is true, but nonetheless, this is not. He literally says that this is neutral buoyancy. We describe this as neutral buoyancy. I'll play this in a sec. But we don't. We describe neutral buoyancy the way that we see it on screen. It is to do with the density of the thing compared to the density of the fluid in which it's immersed. So why is he putting forces here with directions to it when that's not the definition? It's not right that somebody should preach this as gospel. It's just like someone's teaching you some kind of false teachings. And this would be the subject, indeed, of my my paper, because George is putting himself out, passing himself off to be a teacher, and he's teaching false things. This is not true. This is not the definition of neutral buoyancy. So let's hear what else he says.
Which we call its weight. I'll be getting to this in more detail here in just a bit. This is just as an example to show you where we're headed. An object with mass m is in a state of what we call in a state of suspension. Suppose it's in a state of suspension. It's not moving. It's in a state of suspension while it's immersed within this liquid. We call this neutral buoyancy or buoyant neutral state.
So he's calling it neutral buoyancy, and we've just seen him describe that there's two forces acting on this. That's not the definition. But then notice what he says. He says we call this weight. Well, only maths would call it weight. And the only reason why they would call it weight is so that they can insert that little g. And I mean, I said it the other day to Adam Meakin that the minute Rumpus gets in the hangout, he will literally immediately demand that we call it weight. Now, you and I all are familiar with the term weight. We know what weight means, but in maths, it puts that little g there. But what's even worse is they call weight a force, right? Rumpus's words. Weight is a force, mass is not a force. Well, neither of them really are a force, because we have a definition of force again. So I'll pull up the definition of force, but it's the definition that states clearly an interaction between objects of a pull or a push. So definition of force. Now, if you're going to argue that weight is a force, how are you going to get the mathematical expression of weight to comply with this definition of the word force? Because in physics, a force is somewhat physical, right? It's an interaction, a push or a pull. But in mathematics, a force is inserted into by way of little g into the definition for weight. So you've got a contradiction. In physics, it says it's physical. In mathematics, a force is simply the word weight, the term weight. So one contradicts the other, and he cites it, and Rumpus cites it. So the problem we have as the layperson is, well, what do we accept? Do we accept physics that states that there must be a physical interaction and it must be a push or a pull? Or do we accept mathematics that states that weight is a force, whereas mass is not? And we all know really that weight is not really a force. It's a measurement. We stand on a scales, we get a number, right? That's what we all interpret it to mean. But these are telling us that weight in mathematics are forces. And that's confusing. They're not. Because in physics, a force requires the physical interaction. But George is telling people George is telling people lies. Rumpus is telling people lies. And these are the people that are professing to be teachers that are teaching false teachings, because these are not true. Maths is not true. Maths is just numbers, descriptions by numbers of the world in which we're supposed to live in, and they're supposed to match the reality. But he describes these two things as having forces, and it's not the definition. So unfortunately for me, the rest of George Netanyahu's hangout, I didn't watch any more of it, because it's based on fallacious, wrong, and inaccurate misrepresentations of physics. You cannot have a mathematical definition that is contradicting the physics definition, and that's what force does. It's not acceptable, and these are the people that you guys are listening to, and it's just not on. So, George, tell people the truth. Neutral buoyancy is not a force up and a force down. Neutral buoyancy, by definition, is the density of the medium against the density of the object, and there is no up and down arrow. That's not true. So I'm hoping that George does a correction video, because this is false teaching. This is not true. Might be mathematically true, but it's not physics. It's not what's really happening. It doesn't satisfy the definition. So George, consider this as a D-. You fail. Or actually, we'll give you an F. It's not true physics, George. I'm sorry. I'm done.
Cool.
Absolutely wrong. And your selective pick on what neutral buoyancy is, sorry, it's incomplete.
Okay, so
I don't know where you got that from, but I got another definition, and it describes it in full. Just look at Wikipedia. It's very simple.
Which bit do you disagree with, Arwin?
All of it. Everything you said was just giant shit fest right there.
So right at the
George
beginning of this,
Netanyahu is a deceptive asshole, but in this case, he's just right. Sorry. Look it up.
Okay, so
I'm presenting it right now.
So that means that the 2 points I made were that he's talking about these net forces, right? He's talking about the tug of war. And in principle, in maths, I agree with him. The game of tug of war would yield these results. But in the real world, where's the game of tug of war?
Yeah, I know that's your story, but this here, the real definition, the complete definition on Wikipedia, does describe forces, does actually describe the buoyant force opposing the gravity force, and all of it in its completion. So your narrow interpretation that you found somewhere and you latched onto it like it means everything, it's incomplete. It's very simple.
So specifically, which bit are you not happy with? Because we can narrow this down and we can get closure on it. If you think that I'm wrong,
the missing parts of your interpretation, that's what I'm not happy with.
Okay, so which parts? Which is the bit?
Why don't you read it yourself? I'm presenting it right now.
No, I made 2 points. The first point was that you can't demonstrate the game of tug of war.
I'm not going to talk to you. I'm just presenting it, and I'll read it out loud if you like.
But you're saying I'm wrong, and I'm challenging you to show where I'm wrong, and let's discuss it.
Right. Well, look at my screen, and you'll see.
I'm not in the hangout. How am I going to do this?
Hang on, Anthony.
Neutral buoyancy is a condition in which physical body's average density is equal to the density of the fluid in which it is immersed. The buoyancy offsets the force of gravity that would otherwise cause the object to sink. The body's density is greater than the density of the fluid in which it is immersed, or rise if it's less. An object that has neutral buoyancy will neither sink nor rise.
What's the first 2 words in your extra bit?
No, that's not my words. That's the full definition here on Wikipedia that I'm reading out loud.
What's the next 2 words where I stop?
Not my words. I'm reading out loud what's written right here.
I'm challenging your comprehension. What are the first 2 words after I stop speaking? The first 2 words are the buoyancy. We're not talking about the buoyancy, though. We're talking about the state when it's not buoyant. It's neutral.
Neutral buoyancy. Neutral buoyancy.
Not
right
the
here,
buoyancy bit. Not the buoyancy bit, Arwin. The neutral bit.
Yeah, neutral buoyancy. Right there, described.
No, it doesn't say the neutral buoyancy.
Yeah, it's right there.
No, it says the buoyancy, Arwin. It doesn't say the neutral buoyancy. We're not interested in the buoyancy bit. We're only interested in the neutral buoyancy bit.
This is the definition of neutral buoyancy.
No, that's the definition relating to the buoyant part. First, it describes it through the
density effect. Then it says how that actually manifests through buoyancy offsetting the force of gravity, causing a force equilibrium as described here in the pictures, all of that. So, yeah, it's in there.
Arwin, I'm going to put this down to a language thing because you're missing the word neutral.
Right, yeah, sure.
You're missing the word neutral while you're applying the word buoyancy. Because you're saying that the buoyancy is neutral, and it's not by the words that they use. It's talking about the buoyancy.
You're
That's not
hilarious,
neutral
dude.
buoyancy.
Sorry. Here's the full definition. You can
Yeah,
moan about it
read
all
the
day.
full
You can go into
definition.
semantics. This is what it is. Not my words. Written right.
No. Semantics. Let's look at the definition of semantics. It's the important minutiae of the meanings of the words
Yeah.
when it's
Right,
critical to the
meta-semantics,
conversation.
It's very classic.
So semantics is not a negative. So let's apply what the definition actually says to what we see. And what you're talking about is the second sentence, which reads, the buoyancy offsets the force of gravity. Well, we're not talking about the buoyancy. We're talking about the neutral buoyancy where there is no movement. There is no offsetting of anything, because otherwise they would say the neutral buoyancy. They didn't say that. They said the buoyancy. So we're not interested in the buoyancy bit. We're interested in the bit where it's neutrally buoyant.
Can you join the hangout, Anthony?
I'm not arguing
Thank you very
this.
much.
Give a shit about your weird own fantasizing nihilistic approach. This is the definition right there, and it includes buoyancy offset by gravity. So it's right there in the definition.
Welcome back.
So, Arwin, do you see the difference between that sentence that you're relying on and how that doesn't apply?
I'm done talking to you about this. The definition is right there. You can complain to it.
No,
You can
I'm applying.
write these people that they got it wrong.
No, they
Yeah,
got it right.
Write an essay on how to very detailed interpret the words and what
No,
they could
Arwin,
mean.
the
I don't
definition
care.
is right.
I don't care. I just showed you the definition.
Yeah.
Now,
I
what
agree.
you do with it is up to you, because I am
Right,
done
stop
discussing
monologuing.
this with you.
I agree with the definition, Arwin. The problem is your interpretation of what the words are.
This is right.
Should we move on to the second point, or should we labour here?
What second point?
Well, you said that you disagreed with what I'd said. It was all wrong. And I only made 2 points. So I would say that means
No. You spent 5 minutes basically complaining how George Netnook has everything wrong and how force and buoyancy
Yeah, but then
cancelling
you
each
said
other
that
out. The
as well.
tug of war has nothing to do with it.
Right, well, they're talking over each other. So, shout out to the mind of God. Buildings are spinning, trust me. Okie dokie, thanks for the super chat.
What was the super chat message?
Buildings are spinning. Trust me.
So, Arwin, why did you challenge me then if you said that I got it all wrong, if you now don't want to defend that position?
I gave you my reference.
Yeah, and I agree with the definition. I disagree with your interpretation of the words.
You don't even know the interpretation of the words.
Well,
I didn't give them.
Contrast the word
I didn't give them. I just gave you this reference. That's it. That's all I'm willing to give you about this subject.
Right, so therefore you should agree with me then if you understand basic comprehension skills.
No.
Right, so are you not just
No,
being a
you
contrarian, Arwin?
You basically made a wrong declaration about George Netanook.
So
No
what-
matter what kind of an asshole he is, what you said about what he was so-called teaching wrong, it's just not true.
No,
And I just showed it to you.
so
Because every
particularize-
word he used was in there, in the definition.
So particularize your statement specifically and let's deal with it. Otherwise, you can retract your statement and admit
No,
that
I'm
you're
not
talking
gonna do
gibberish.
shit.
Hey, mate,
You
four.
can shove your
Hello.
semantic up your ass.
Hey, mate, four.
So you can drop your assertion then. If you're not
You
going to
can shove your semantics up your ass.
No, you can drop your assertion that I was wrong. Otherwise, you can defend it.
No, you were wrong. You slandered
so
him.
defend
Right,
it.
hold
It
on.
was-
Stop.
Unjustly,
stop,
you
stop,
slandered him.
stop. No, none of this. You're right. I'm right. You're right. And you're wrong. Right. Let's just get to this nitty gritty of semantics. So, can one of you bring up the definition of what semantics actually means?
I can.
Wordplay.
No, it's more serious than that, Arwin. It's not a negative. It's an important word. Definition of semantics. It's to do with the crux of the argument. The branch of linguistics and logic concerned with meaning. The two main areas are logical semantics, concerned with matters such as sense and reference and presupposition and implication, and lexiosemantics, concerned with the analysis of words and relationships between them. Let's find a better one that makes it apply.
I don't know. I thought that was pretty concise. It's about words and their meanings.
Yeah, I know. So
yeah, but it's usually it usually applies it, and it normally says like when it's concerned with matters such as sense. It's normally to do with the importance of the when it's an important point, it's semantic. When it's not important, it's moot.
That's hilarious, man. You looked up a definition and you disagree with that definition, so you're going to look for another one. That's
Not that I disagree with it. I'm looking for where the
yeah,
application.
you're looking for another one. That's what you're doing.
I'm looking for where it's applied, because it's applied where there's an issue that's contentious, as opposed to a moot point that's applied to an issue that's not contentious. They normally get contrasted between the two. In any event, my only other second point, Arwin, was that he used to cite a definition of a word that is wrong. He used the buoyancy and the gravitational forces when it clearly states in the definition that it's density. So how did I get that bit wrong?
Well, you're talking out of your ass right here, because I just showed the definition, and those words are right there, exactly as presented.
George,
yeah, they are.
Listen, George uses the word force. And
yeah, it's right there.
Stop interrupting.
It's there.
Force has a definition. It means something, right? In physics, it means something. But the word force doesn't appear in the definition of neutral buoyancy. It talks about density. So again, I ask you, how did I get that wrong?
You're totally mind-fucking yourself, dude. It's right there.
Yeah, you're right. It is right there, and I'm right.
No, you're not. You're saying it's not in there, and now you're saying it is. You're totally double-speaking the shit out of this. It's not working. You're the only one that's actually fooling yourself. Because you're talking absolute insanity.
Read what it says, Arwin.
It's there, literal, the word in the definition.
Read the bit that's highlighted in blue on your screen. Neutral buoyancy is a condition in which a body's physical average density, not forces, density, is equal to the density of the fluid in which it's immersed. Again, it says density. So where in the definition that George cited, where he gave a vertical and a downward force, is that the same?
Well, why don't you read the follow-up sentence? That's still part of that definition block.
Okay, let's do it. It says the buoyancy offsets the force of gravity. But we're not talking about the buoyancy.
That would otherwise cause the object to sink.
No, Arwin, we're not talking about the buoyancy. We're talking about
we're not talking about it. Well, it's there in the definition.
Yeah, but the buoyancy bit's the bit where it's moving upwards, Arwin.
Oh, that's nice, man. That's really nice.
And also wrong.
Exactly what George described. So
no, there is no buoyancy whilst it's not moving, Arwin.
Right.
So is George wrong?
When the buoyancy force offsets the gravity force.
Yeah, but there is no buoyancy offsetting gravity.
Yeah, it is. The buoyancy is there.
Arwin, it's not moving.
Right, because there is an equilibrium in the forces. So there is no motion because they are like a tug of war.
Or
at equal opposition.
Or what's the other interpretation?
That's not another interpretation. It's written right there. It's not my interpretation. It's written right there in the definition.
Is there another interpretation?
No. What I'm reading right there is very clear. There is no other interpretation. The words are very clear.
Yeah, and they relate to buoyancy. But is there another interpretation?
No.
The answer is yes.
No, it's not. It's right there. There's only one way to interpret it. The buoyancy offsets the force of gravity that would otherwise cause the object to sink.
All right,
it's very clear. It's very clear what it says. It's
let's play with your interpretation.
Causation.
What if there wasn't a force of gravity then?
Oh, what if? Well, I don't know because
it's
not in there. It's not.
Yeah, it is.
They don't talk about that right there. They just say what it is right there, the definition.
Well, if there wasn't a force of gravity, then there wouldn't be a need to offset it with the buoyancy that we don't see anyway.
Indeed.
So let's say
there was
stationary, but
that's right. It's a very interesting if question. The fact is that in the definition, it's right there.
So there is an alternative explanation for it then.
Right, if you're gonna twist everything around to suit your view of the world, yeah, sure. But in the definition, the official definition, it's right there.
You're the one claiming there's a force there, though, Alan.
No, the official definition is claiming it is there, as it is in the definition.
That only relates to the buoyancy part, and we're talking about when it's
no. There's no part. It is the definition of it. The entire thing.
The first sentence reads neutral buoyancy.
It's one block. It's the first block of text.
Yeah.
And the first three sentences, and they are
the second one
the intro definition. of neutral
Listen,
buoyancy.
Listen. The
On
first one reads
Wikipedia, everyone
neutral
can look this
buoyancy.
up. Good luck with that.
Arwin, the first one reads neutral buoyancy,
don't-
but the second one starts with buoyancy.
I'm done with this, okay?
Yeah, you are done with this. Stop
Yeah, that's
talking
right.
rubbish.
I'm done with this.
Stop telling people lies. And
I'm not telling people lies. I'm only telling them what's right there.
Arwin. You
You
can't
can look
prove
it up. I'm not
Stop.
telling lies. Stop
You are lying.
slandering me.
You're lying, Arwin.
Stop slandering me.
You're lying because
I'm
you claim.
not lying.
that
I'm
buoyancy
just
doesn't
saying what's
explain
right
what
there.
you see.
Stop slandering me.
I will slander you because what I'm saying is
Right.
true.
Well, if you keep that up,
claim that-
I will end up suing you.
Sue
Just
me
so
then.
you know.
Yeah, you claim that density and buoyancy can't explain what we see, but it can. That's a false
I
statement
don't
of
claim
fact.
anything. I'm just
do.
reading the definition
You do
on
claim. That's the reason
Wikipedia
why I
in
attack
its
you.
completion. Something that you kind of left out those parts to your convenience.
No,
Before-
you
yeah,
claim that
yeah.
density and buoyancy
But
can't.
you didn't
explain
mention the
everything
part about the buoyancy offsetting the force of gravity. You never mentioned that.
because it relates
yeah,
to the
it's in
buoyancy.
there. It's right in there in
Because
the
it-
full
Alvin,
definition
Do you not
on
see why that
Wikipedia.
doesn't apply?
Right there in the full definition on
monologuing.
Wikipedia.
Do you not see how that
buoyancy?
doesn't apply?
Yeah, there's no talking with you because
Do you not see how that does not apply?
yeah, sure. Something that is in the official definition in the first block of text does
It's
not
relating
apply
to
to the
buoyancy,
definition it
Alvin.
is describing. Sure,
Alvin,
Hey, Alan.
relating
Hey,
to
Alan.
buoyancy.
Of course.
Hold on, guys.
Of
Hey, Alan.
course.
Hey,
It's
Alan.
relating to buoyancy,
Hey,
Alvin.
Alan.
It's not relating to when it's static.
Hi, boys.
Of course it's not. That's
Hi.
why it's written in the first block of text of the official definition of neutral buoyancy. That's real
But it
good
says the
logic.
buoyancy. We're not referring to the
Brilliant.
buoyancy.
You're brilliant.
We're referring to the neutral buoyancy, which is the sentence prior. I'll put it down to a comprehension thing because you're not English and it's not your native language.
You don't have to do
Either
that
way,
kind
you
of-
are wrong.
You don't have to poo-poo me with your shitty tactics.
Well, in that case,
I'm
then
just
just
reading the definition in full. And
In
it's
that
right
case, you
there.
just stick.
You can talk around it. You can say, no, it's not really there. You can say, oh, you're misinterpreting the words, or you're too stupid. That's
Yeah.
basically Rumpus
Well, being
tactics,
polite.
what you're applying right there.
Either
All
way,
I'm
you're
doing
wrong, Alvin.
is reading out the definition.
Yeah, read out the definition and apply what it says.
Right.
Hello, everybody, and
Neutral
welcome
buoyancy
to
is a condition in which a physical
Bickering.
body's average density is equal to
Well,
the
there is no
density of the
buoyancy
fluid
when
in
it's
which
not
it is
moving,
immersed. The buoyancy offsets the force of gravity that would otherwise cause the object to sink if the body's density.
There is no movement, no buoyancy, Arwin.
Hey guys, got a couple of Globers here, I think.
It's a lot of bickering.
That's just Arwin monologuing and not listening to or reading the interpretation properly or reading the language properly.
How's the blood pressure, Tony?
It's going down now that you shut up.
You get so angry.
I'm talking to a moron and he represents
Oh,
us.
come on. Let's not start with the ad homs.
Oh,
You
the
had a
problem
really
is,
good-
Nathan, he says things that
No
are
need.
factually wrong
It's
and
just
it's not
no need.
acceptable.
Well, yeah, when you're debating those issues. Hello, Annie. Good to have you. Oh, it's Mark. Good to have you, Mark.
Hi, folks.
Mark, are you blocked?
What do you mean blocked? As in,
Well, normally you
What do
join
you
with
mean?
Mark Doxey rather than Annie.
oh,
I don't think it matters.
that's my partner's.
Just signed in on the wrong
Right,
account.
no, she's been on my computer.
Oops, wrong account.
Wrong
I thought
account,
you
yeah.
might have been blocked. I was going to ask, like, why would someone block you?
Riley,
And
Riley,
blocked with too much gin.
Riley, did you actually say when it's important it's semantics, when it's not important it's mute?
Correct.
Not
Semantics
mute,
deals with the
moot.
Moot, actually, not
M-U-T-E.
I didn't say mute. I said mute. M-O-O-T. Mute.
You're not going to argue over that, are you?
Yeah, it's the difference between a semantic argument or a semantic point over a moot point. When there's a moot point, nobody's interested. It's not contentious. When it's semantic, it deals with the crux of the argument.
Tony, semantics is everything.
Correct. It's important that we have the meanings of words and we understand what they mean.
So therefore, if semantics is everything, it
Yeah.
can't be not unimportant.
I agree. But Arwin's downplaying it as though it's a negative. Oh, it's just semantics. No, semantics is important. The meaning of words is important. And in physics, it's really important when you start talking about the minutiae of forces that don't exist only in maths.
Yeah, brilliant. It's lovely speech.
It is a
Still,
lovely speech.
yeah, your definition as you use it.
No, not
before,
my
you can't
definition,
use that
Alvin.
anymore because it was incomplete.
Not my
It's
definition.
improved.
Not my definition. I just read
Oh,
what
it's not your definition, so you're just gonna. pick and choose. So there is not really an official definition. It's just whatever you find that's convenient to you, that's your definition. And that is
That's the definition
official,
that we're
right? That
given.
is official.
That's the definition that we're given.
Your cherry pick, that's the official, right?
We're using the tools that we're given by science. The definition.
Right. This is starting to sound very familiar.
It's not my problem, Arwin, that you don't understand the
No,
difference
of course it's
between
not.
buoyancy and
No,
neutral buoyancy.
of course it's not, Rumpus. Don't worry about it.
Shout out to
Shout out to who?
Ute. Shout out to John Watson, bringing some harmony and peace here.
Shout out to Nick. Nick's a real person too, you know. He
Shout
needs
out
love.
retracted.
Retracted as well.
How's it getting on with the admissions hall in the MMU, Nick? Are you getting any progress?
How's the essay coming, Tony?
Does the L stand for loser, Nick? Sorry, Al.
How's the essay coming?
I haven't really started it yet. I need to know what the word limit is so I can structure it before I start. I don't want to spend too much time on the wrong length of it. So
What
I'm
do
going
you
to wait
mean
until I find out
spend
how
too
long.
much time? People have given you $2,500.
Say again.
People have given you $2,500. Put some work in, man.
I've not started it yet. The course doesn't start until one day next week, I think, or the week after. So I'm preemptively ahead already. So relax.
I'm expecting at least 15,000 words.
I think it will be about 15. But I think I read 3 different prospectuses, and I can't. One of them was 15, one of them was 12, and I can't remember the third, and I can't remember which order they were in either. So,
Oh dear.
So you've not got a outline for your document or anything?
yeah, I have got something. I'm gonna check it right now actually and see if it gives me that info.
It's a good job I'm here, isn't it?
Do you know? I don't know what I'd do without you, Al.
Did you correct all the mistakes that you'd got in your GoFundMe?
Nah, there wasn't 23, Al. You were harsh.
Well, if I wanted to include the grammar, you had 42.
Have you got a red pen that we could go through all these? Because it's a bold assertion.
It's not a bold assertion, Tony. It's a correct assertion.
They were deliberate.
Let's be honest though. When you type the word "don't" and you don't put the apostrophe in, I do that all the time because it's too hard to put the apostrophe in. But just because that's missing on the
Hold
word
on.
"don't" 6
I'm
times,
going to
that's really
defend you
only
here,
one
Anthony.
mistake, isn't
So
it?
No.
I'm just going to hold on, Alan. So it's a bit like when those kids have a lemonade stand and they put the words back to front. It's just encouraging people to come along by making him seem a bit dumber than he actually is. That's all.
I'm not saying it's dumb at all.
It was a double bluff.
Exactly.
I'm just saying there's a lot of mistakes.
Can we get Paul in here?
To be
Let's
honest,
get Paul.
Nathan will vouch for me. I did that at the end of the hangout, or it might have been immediately before the hangout, the 3-hour one that I did. And it was because I needed to do something, and I just populated it there and then, and I didn't really think about it. I just put it in so I had something while I started building that page.
Starting to see a pattern here, Tony.
Well, it's a GoFundMe
You know he's not
page,
getting
it's not that
graded on the
important, let's be
GoFundMe
honest.
page, right?
Huh?
The grade for the GoFundMe page was the funds it raised, as opposed to marking the spelling and grammar.
Yeah, and there was only one typographical mistake in there. Well, grammar. It was the word "buy," B-U-I, which I admit was a bad mistake. But the rest of it was like, you got to be a really nitpicky, pedantic person to have that, and it's like moot. It's not semantic. It's moot.
No, I don't know if I agree with you there, because Alan claims to be a writer.
University, dude.
That would be something
we
quite near
could
and
pull it
dear.
up and we could pull it apart, and I'd be fine with that.
My bad. So Alan's a writer. So if you were to have somebody say that it's not that important, this point of legal detail, you'd presumably kick off about it. Well, Alan's claiming to be a writer, so I would assume that's quite near and dear to him.
I know he's probably right. Look, at the end of the day, it didn't change the message that was portrayed, and I don't see it as important. But technically,
I thought you said
tell you what,
hang on, Tony. You said semantics was important earlier.
semantics is moot's not. This is moot. I'm not going to argue with you over it.
How simply convenient.
Well, is it important to the point?
Well, it could get you down marked bad grammar. Yes.
On a GoFundMe page.
You know what? I'm convinced, Alan. Give me my money back.
Yes. Give me my £25 back, Anthony.
I thought you said it was
Terrible,
35.
I'll give you your money back, Alan.
Well,
You said it was 35 last time.
Pardon?
Did you actually
You said it was
donate? Alan?
35 last
Of course
time
I
you
did.
were on.
I want to read the paper and piss my pants.
You said it was
What
35
happens
last
if you
time.
piss your pants and it doesn't fail?
Hold on. there's a discrepancy. You said last time it was 35.
He-
I only
Alan
remember.
wants to use it as toilet paper, basically.
I remember because I looked it up, so I thought, oh, I'll go and look who's donated 35.
And if you remember, I didn't answer the question.
Well, why was I looking up who was donating £35 then?
25.
Yeah, there were lots
You
of
said
25.
35 last time.
25.
No, it was 25. Nathan's got it wrong.
Oh, my bad.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you.
Thank you. Trying to catch him out. Spoilt it completely.
How are you, Arwin?
Doing okay.
Good, good. Nice argument with Tony earlier.
I know, thanks.
Every day.
Do my best.
Good on you.
How's the weather there?
Rather grey. It's been a poor weekend.
Right.
Yeah, it rained a lot over the weekend.
Rain, 45-mile-an-hour wind.
It seems there's the summer is still going on here. It's like, is this really halfway October? Seriously?
Lucky old
This
you.
could be August. The weather it's like here.
Get
Well-
you, Arwin, with your nice
I went
weather.
for groceries like in my t-shirt.
Well, Utrecht is a beautiful city.
Yeah.
How do you know that,
Alright.
Alan?
I've been.
Really?
Yes.
That's okay then.
Lots of bridges, lots of water, some beautiful old churches. Quite picturesque.
Welcome to the travel show.
Yes, I was talking to Mark earlier about Barcelona.
Freddie
about
Mercury's favourite city.
Oh, you've been in the Sagrada Familia before?
Yes, many times.
So awesome. I was there when only the first 4 towers were built. I've seen it in 3 phases, and that it's an amazing casting work. It's just like before, it was just all more like brickish, and now they just did this amazing concrete, something like concrete casting work, and it's just surreal.
Yes. It's
So
an amazing.
awesome.
It's amazing at night, and watching that being built for the last 20 years has been quite a sight.
Indeed. What's your favorite part of the Gaudi Park? You've ever been there?
I like to look over the city from the top, and I also like the caverns down at the bottom.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely. I also kind of like the fountain bit.
The tile work
It is
there.
almost like a, how do you say? Almost like a theme park at that location. You almost expect like, hey, where are the attractions? But yeah, it is the attraction.
It was meant to be a park for artists to live in and
Yeah.
work in.
Indeed. Every time I come there, there's like always a guitar player in that pillar chamber, echoing
Yes.
all over the place. Oh, super awesome. Loved it.
And for more information on Northern European destinations, visit CFAX
It's not
page
Northern European,
245.
it's Southern. Barcelona. Spain.
I thought you were talking about your hometown. My bad.
No
Anyway,
way!
speaking of flat
There's
Earth.
nothing like that here. No, it's not that
Anyway,
good.
speaking of flat Earth, how did you get on with Charles Mark? Charles Mark. Yeah, how did you get on with Charles? Mark.
Did you listen to it?
I didn't. That's why I'm asking. I haven't had a chance.
I thought you were just opening it up for the conversation. It was nice. I just asked him a few questions. He asked me a few questions. Coming away, I was thinking, why did I not say that? But that's it. Sort of hindsight's a great thing. He's a nice chap, and I would talk to him again.
Did you get him cornered
He
at all?
didn't convince me, and I didn't convince him.
Did you get
He's
him
a
cornered though?
Yeah, he's a nice chap.
No, did you get him cornered?
No, didn't get cornered. No. I think I set up the interview with 2 rules: not to go into personalities, like discussing people like you, Nathan, and no confrontation. So no, he can't corner me. He was just polite. Soundly was in the background.
Was he whispering in your ear?
No, he was commenting on the side. It's the Pontchartrain Bridge came up. You'll have to listen to it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking to him.
He's a lovely
He
guy.
didn't shift me. Yeah, he is, isn't he? Yeah, he didn't shift me, and I didn't shift him.
I do feel guilty when Nathan's harsh on him because he's too nice. He's a bit like Ned Flanders, that neighbor in Simpsons that you can't possibly ever have a fight with because you'd feel guilty.
Ned Flanders is Satan.
Pardon?
Ned Flanders is actually Satan.
What makes you say that?
Did you not know that?
No.
It's a satire
Ned
on
Flanders,
Satan, isn't it?
the devout Christian, the neighbour next door that everybody... That's Satan.
Oh, right. I didn't know that. To be honest, I don't really watch The Simpsons, but I do know
No,
most of the
I think it's
characters.
the most perfect analogy you've ever drawn.
So Tony, does that make you Lionel Schutz,
Lionel Schutz. I'm not familiar with that one.
the lawyer of The Simpsons?
Oh, I don't know. Who he is.
Oh,
I don't know who he is.
Of course you don't.
I know the characters. I know most of the characters. Barney's the one that burps in the bar.
Who's that?
That one's
That's you.
Riley.
Yeah, that's more like me.
Really?
Not really.
He's the only one that has your belly size. Sorry.
He's the only
breaking
one.
up, I'm not hearing anything. Did somebody
Sorry.
be talking to
It's a
me?
low blow.
No, he's having a bitch at me.
That was a low blow there, Arwen.
I preferred the favourite Simpsons characters. Apuna Hasapina Petalon. He's the best character.
Well, what's the best quote from The Simpsons?
Come again.
What's
Come
the
again.
best quote? Come again. Okay.
Get out
that's
of
a
my
good one,
store. Don't wreck my merchandise. Never come again. And come again.
Smithers, take care of that gentleman for me.
Yeah.
Great debate.
I like Mr.
If you're
Burns.
enjoying
Lovely.
Flat Earth debate, those in
Lovely.
the audience.
So, make 4. What side are you on today?
I was thinking about concave today. I might go inside the Earth and meet the magical fairies.
Right, Dick Earth, you mean?
Dick Earth, banana Earth.
Yeah.
Nah,
can
still
make a pretty
globe.
good argument
I've
for
gone
Dick
back
Earth.
to the globe for good now, I think.
I mean,
Sorry, what was
Dick
that?
Earth is technically proven by the same standards as Globe Earth. So, obviously, you've got this sort of curved-shaped dick, bit like a banana. And at each end of the... each tip, you have, obviously, rotating celestial points. So, if you've got these celestial rotating points at the tip of each end, then, obviously, that proves you're on a dick.
Shout out to people from Florida.
Celestial pole is a good one. Yep. Still
Well,
trying to figure out
can
how
you-
that works
Can
on
you
a flat plane.
disprove that you're on the tip of a dick?
Hang on a minute. How is the celestial poles a good one? We went through this the other day. Did you forget?
Nah, but see, even with the inclination or declination or whatever you want to call it, the height of it in the sky, how does it work over where you are?
Our declination is not the height on in the sky.
Is it not the elevation?
No, it's the angle that your compass is pointing at with an adjustment of degrees relative to where you are. In
Oh,
other
so you're
words,
talking about like geo north and magnetic north.
No,
No, I'm
Dick
talking
Earth.
about what-
It's all about the angle.
Anyway, that's so if
hang
so
on,
I'd
no,
see it-
not anyway. You just said that you're still struggling to get past the rotation points, and I'm thinking, why do you think it's a strong point? The reason why is because you don't realize what declination is, and declination is the point that debunks your point that it's a strong point. You guys can't look south in Australia because you can't work out where south is. You have a compass that points north, and then you work out where south is from it, but they tell you that that's not actually south. Magnetic south is actually somewhere else. So you've then got to decide, do you accept what your compass is pointing at for south, where your rotation point is not, or do you correct for declination, in which case you're still not going with what your compass says, and you're doing what they tell you is basically an adjustment. But either way, you're not looking south. But
Anyway.
you still think it's a good point for the ball.
So on the flat Earth map, I'm
So
over
th-
here,
that's a
and then
complete
Santiago.
total
Oh,
ignorance.
sorry, Nathan.
Sorry.
Do I get
anyway,
a word?
Event Horizon, good to have you. Sorry for calling you Warren the other day.
So I'm on one side of the map, and then 180 degrees facing the absolute opposite way of me is South America.
No, I've just
And
gone
they-
through why that's not the case.
Why do we both see the South Celestial Pole?
You
Why-
don't. You don't. Why do you think this? Is this because you're so indoctrinated you've not realized that declination trumps your argument?
I'm trying to understand how it works on your model.
It doesn't. No, you need to understand how it doesn't work on your model first.
Well, okay, that's fine. Maybe that's fair enough, but maybe you can explain how it works on your model.
I would say that how it works in real life with the compass pointing the direction it is the actual direction that the south rotation point is. In other words, we live on a flat plane, and that's the proof.
That doesn't really make sense at all.
Right, you've got this perception that in South America, when you look south, you see the south rotation point.
Yes, same as Australia.
Right. And when you've also got the impression that South Australia does the same thing. But both
That's right, because I look at it every night.
Both have got wildly different declination values that seem to be like bringing things round from a flat plane towards making it look like a ball. You need to look into declination. It'll change your position. And if it doesn't, then come back to us and ask why it hasn't done, because it's blatantly obvious that declination doesn't work for you. Declination is an adjustment of your compass to tell you what is south. In other words, you're not looking at south when you're looking at south. You're looking at somewhere other than south, and I would assert that supports it being like a flat plane.
That makes absolutely no sense at all.
Because you don't understand what declination is.
The angular distance of a point north or south of the celestial equator.
Right, so when you get your compass out, no. The angular distance of a point, no. South is opposite of north on a compass.
Hold up, now you're just getting all these descriptions all wrong, just like you're getting your force and F equals ma all mixed up and muddled up.
No, Arwin's the one that gets mixed up.
The angular distance of a point north or south of the celestial equator.
So what's north?
So it is the elevation
mean?
in the sky.
Sorry,
like
what
I
does north
said.
mean then?
It's
Sorry,
no.
Just get clarity on terms. What do you mean by north?
He's on about the vertical in the sky.
So now north doesn't exist. Is that what we're saying?
That's not what I said.
No, you're on about the vertical.
Anthony, hold on. Right, that's not what I said. I said, what's north?
Well, the North Pole, bro.
Say again?
So how do you...
The North Pole.
How do you work out north?
What the hell are you talking about? North Pole?
With a compass.
With a compass.
Guys.
So not the description you've just given then. Why did you give a description if it's north on a compass? Excuse me, don't talk when I'm talking.
Sorry.
Why have you just described the celestial North Pole and then said north is north on a compass? Is it because you're stupid and don't understand the difference?
Okay, so directly above the North Pole is the celestial North Pole.
Yeah, so why did you just mention a compass?
Because that points to Geo North, right?
No,
I know what these terms mean. It seems you don't.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
no, not
magnetic
okay.
north.
You don't understand the terms you're using.
It doesn't matter. It's still.
Yeah,
I'm
it does.
trying to put
It's
it
critical, you absolute retard.
putting it in simple terms.
What, you
Yeah,
mean
you
retarded
are.
terms that you don't understand yourself? Are those the simple terms? I think you'll find those are retarded terms. Not simple, retarded.
Make four. Make four. You could locate the North Star in the night sky. You know, Polaris. Oh, sorry, you can't see that, can you?
That's right. I can't see it from the south. Not from the south.
Oh, right. Well, how far south?
Australia.
All right. North or South Australia?
I think I'm around 30 degrees south. I'm not sure. I'm South Australia.
All right, yeah. There's a point where you can't see the North Pole star anymore, right? Certain
Yes, that is
length from
correct.
the equator.
Yes.
What was it? It's like. Anybody knows at what latitude you can't see Polaris anymore?
I'd have to Google it.
Right.
But so declination pretty much was what I was thinking. It's just the angle in the sky of how high it is, more or less, from the celestial equator.
So we are begging the question, though. You realise this? We've pointed it out a dozen times. Do you understand what begging the question means?
Not really.
It means assuming your outcome.
Okay.
No, it's not okay. Because if we're asking you to prove something and you presuppose it is so, then you are, by definition, begging the question, assuming the outcome. So when you say the celestial sphere, you're already operating under the assumption that there's a sphere around you, aren't you?
Well, we don't have to be like that. I'm trying to figure out how it works on a flat plane.
No, you're not. Listen again. Your explanation included the words celestial sphere. You're not trying to figure out how it works on a flat.
But isn't it a dome? So it's kind of like...
I hadn't finished, mate. 4. Yeah, it's understandable that you don't get this. We all know you're slow. I'm trying to speak slowly so that it sinks in. When you presuppose something, i.e., you assume that when you travel to the south, you're actually going to be inverting your position. You're going to end up antipode to yourself. Yeah? You make that assumption before you make any observation. So you presuppose the sphere. In R, you trust.
Okay.
No,
so
no,
if
no,
I'm
no,
looking
it's
at
not
the
This is
dome...
really
okay.
hard to find.
Make 4. This is not okay. This is a fallacy.
Oh, fallacy.
Yeah, that's right. Fallacy. Look it up.
So if I'm on a flat plane with a dome, and I'm looking in the sky, which I'm pretty sure is south, because we've got that, we know what north, south, east, west is, right? So it doesn't matter about the declination right
I don't know what north, south, east, and west is. It does
Why
matter
not?
about declination. Because you
why
have to
don't-
adjust on your compass, dude, because of declination.
But that's just the angle to the sky.
No, it's not. It's the bearing that you've got to compensate for because you're not looking south according to your model.
So how does navigation work if we don't know where south is?
Sorry,
cares?
what's your claim? What's the claim you're making? Make 4. Don't straw
Sorry,
man the
Nathan?
shit out of us. Just make a claim, and then we'll tear it to pieces based on your religious faith in a sphere.
3 celestial poles wouldn't work with navigation.
Sorry, 3
not
celestial poles?
Well, that's what you need for the 3 continents to be able to see them at the same time.
Sorry, what's your claim here? You're claiming there's 3 celestial poles.
Well, you'd need that on a flat Earth model for it to work.
Oh, would we? Who's making that claim?
Well, I don't understand how they work. That's all I want to try and understand.
Go and have a little look. Maybe figure it out for yourself. What is your claim? We're not making that claim. So this is a straw man. Another logical fallacy. Hello, Tim Osman.
Big words.
Is that you?
Me.
Good to
It's
have you.
me.
Hi, Tim.
I'd say good.
What up?
Do you
Hey,
still
Alan,
stand
isn't
by
it
that?
amazing that Riley's still using the magnetic declination argument, even though he's been corrected like for years?
So go on then, correct me. I'll tell you what, let's deal with the other issue with you first. Do you still stand by the 69 miles for 1 degree drop in the sky for the Polaris as you go north to south?
Drop in the sky?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we live on a slope.
that's how the world works. But anyway, this magnetic declination
So do we live
thing.
on a slope, Tim, or do we live on a sphere?
So there is a difference between the magnetic south and the geographic south and the celestial south.
Wow,
Do you
so many
understand
souths.
this, Riley?
Yes, I do. But
So
we
many
only have 2
souths.
poles, don't we, on a sphere? One
Okay,
pole-
so then declination is the angle, right? The difference in angle between geographic and magnetic, right? So this is the definition of it. Why are you trying to trick people with this? Still,
How many poles? This is a different point, Tim. How many poles are there on the sphere Earth? Is there a North Pole and a South Pole, or are there 5 poles?
Riley, do you understand the difference? We're all here live. There's like 230 people watching. You keep using this argument. Do you understand the difference? You've actually said that it proves flat Earth. It doesn't, first off.
No, I don't. No. You've misquoted me, Tim. Perhaps you weren't paying attention.
Do you want me to find that quote? Because
Yeah,
I'll have a show. Yeah. You said, and this, I'm going to assert. This was when you were talking to John LeBon. You said, I'm going to assert that this proves a flat Earth because
John
of
LeBon, I don't
declination.
think I've ever spoke to John LeBon. Perhaps you've mistaken.
He was on the show a couple of weeks ago.
Are you kidding me?
I don't remember. Even if he was on the show a couple of weeks, no, wasn't it?
Are you a drunk,
Yeah,
dude?
maybe
Like
he was,
sometimes I
maybe he
think
was.
you're drunk.
Right, listen, Tim.
Sometimes
The
I
point
think
is,
you're a
we have
drunk,
two.
dude.
We have 2 poles, do we not? Magnetic poles. We have a north magnetic and a south magnetic pole. How do you explain this map?
I don't think he gets it, Tim.
No, you're right. I don't get it. So explain it to me and the 230 people watching.
So you pull up a random map, and then I'm supposed to be explain it to you?
Not really random.
That's silly.
Map.
It's
So
a world
I have the
magnetic.
same, sorry,
Yeah.
I have the same map.
The
but
National
as a
Centre
little-
for the
Let
Environmental
me just explain
Information
to the
gives
audience
all
what the
these
map is,
magnetic
Anthony.
field
Hold on.
intensity maps.
Anthony. So the map, can you just pop it back up again? So this is a Mercator projection with the magnetic declination lines. It's a magnetic field map. I have the same thing, but projected onto an AE projection, an azimuthal equidistant projection, as the thumbnail. It also shows the 4 poles. There's loads of them.
So how does this work on a sphere, Tim?
How does that change where south is?
There's 4 poles. Let me just
There's
say
only
it again.
meant to be
Hold
two.
on. Hold on. There are not 2 poles. There are 4 poles.
4? I see 3.
So there's 4?
Where?
Quadrupole.
I see 3.
Do you want out for the audience? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 poles.
So we have actual, if you look up the north and south magnetic poles, they actually
Which
have
one?
latitude
There's
and longitude
4.
positions
Sorry,
of them.
Tim. Maybe you're not listening. Which one? There's 4 poles.
So you're going to look at a drawing?
No, at a magnetic declination map.
Yeah, it's a drawing.
A
You guys don't
magnetic
believe in anything
declination
from
map.
space. All of NASA's fake. So why are
So-
we going to look at a drawing?
Oh,
and
how
say that
could we
this
ever
is correct?
navigate if we didn't have this stuff mapped out, man? Yeah, this is just a magnetic declination map. That's what it is. You can deny it and be a denier, Tim, but that's what it is. Are you going to be a denier?
No, I'm not denying
You're going to deny it, Tim.
I'm just saying
Well,
you guys don't
You're going to be a
believe anything. You
denier.
deny everything.
Are you just a denier? Is that what you are, Tim?
We're
Just a
getting off the
denier?
celestial pole. We're
You're
getting
gonna
off the
deny it?
celestial.
Sorry, let's just get an answer from Tim. Is he going to be a denier? Let's see.
How comes they believe this?
Shut up,
Tim, and
Alan.
not everything else?
Shut up!
I don't. Because it fits their narrative, so they just
Sorry,
believe it.
we're not
This is
fitting
your
any
science, guys.
narrative. You have said we look to the magnetic pole. Now we're having a little look at the magnetic map. Here it is. Do you deny it, Tim? Are you a denier?
How does it still change north and south?
Shut up, Alan. What part of this don't you understand? Interrupt me asking Tim if he's going to deny this again, and I'll
The
kick
part
you
where
out.
you're being really selective
Bye-bye.
about what
Bye-bye,
information and
asshole.
evidence you use.
You obfuscate Tim's little toes to the fire session all you like. I'll just kick you out. Right, Tim. You a denier?
Every map that I look
Kick
at is
everybody
totally
out
different
until
for
Tim answers.
for the magnetic field.
Shut up. Let's have an answer from Tim.
All right, so magnetic field is probably not the same as magnetic poles, correct?
Yeah, there's 4 of them.
So when I look up the south and north magnetic
Don't ask me a
pole,
question.
they're going to
My
give me
question
2
is,
of
are you
each,
denying
right?
this,
They're going to
Tim?
give me 2 of
Do
each.
you deny this or not? That's my question. You've said it brings you're supporting their argument. This is your argument about where we look. North, south. This is your magnetic lines that you're referencing for your argument. Are you denying this information or not?
Asking for clarification.
I want to know if Tim's a denier.
Every map
I'm
on
actually
Google.
trying to switch to my computer real quick.
Yeah, every map on Google is the field is totally different.
Yeah, we've got lots of different maps. I'll say it again. On the thumbnail for this show, there's the same exact thing, but projected on an AE projection. There's plenty of magnetic maps that you can look at. I'm asking if this is just going to get denied because it takes a big, fat, giant dump on your religion and its magnetic lines that you believe you've got on a sphere. This is a bit of a problem.
How do ships navigate in the south?
Don't ask me a question. We're talking about these poles that you didn't define when I asked you what north was, Muppet. Did you think that wasn't an important question, mate, for when you laughed?
So how
Shut
did they
up.
use the stars?
I asked you what north was, and you giggled. Now we've got someone else who's more intelligent than you on the panel. That would be Tim.
you're
And we're
acting
asking
like we
him,
can't tell-
not a
you're
moron
acting
who
like
doesn't understand what north even is. We're trying to establish
You're
it.
acting like we don't even know what north,
Bye-bye.
south, east,
You're
west
just
is,
an
bro. It's
idiot.
ridiculous.
Bye-bye.
You don't know what it is,
Bye-bye,
though.
retard. Let's see if we can get an answer from Tim.
I think Tim's switching to his PC and be back in a minute.
I just,
whoops,
I
I was
just want to
muted.
say I heard Tim asking for clarification, so I think that he was asking for clarification between magnetic fields and magnetic poles. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but the fields come from poles.
That's
So
fine.
how many poles are there?
Right.
There
That's
appears
fine.
to be
I
4.
understand.
But there should only be 2. One should be at the
So
north.
they say there's 2 though, right? They say there's 2, correct?
Who gives a crap what they say? Do you believe they? Are you a denier of this map, Tim, because they say there's 2?
I don't know where this map came from.
Who cares? There's
Like, why
loads of
would I
them. You're just
believe
a
it all of
denier. You're just a denier. Your ignorance forces you to deny.
That's
there you
what we're
go.
told
There's
we
your
live
2.
on. We have one magnetic pole at the top, one magnetic pole at the bottom, and the fields go north to south between the 2.
Yeah, this cartoon looks much better and suited with your religious belief, Tim. Just believe that cartoon over this very accurate field map. Yeah, this looks more like it, right, Tim? This looks more like it. More your style, little cartoon.
How did we measure that field map? How did we measure that?
Who cares? This is
Who
your
cares?
reference to north and south, you muppet. Did you hear us making arguments about north and south, Mate 4? Or did you bring it up? And did you have me ask you to define what north was?
How does navigation work? How would you navigate?
Why are you asking us about navigation? This is the tactic of a retard. You brought up north, and when I asked you what it was, you giggled. Now we've got it on screen, and you're asking me about navigation like I'm a bloody navigator. We've got a map on screen. We're talking about poles. 4 of them. There they are. Read them and weep, religious zealots.
I have a question.
Unfortunately, compasses still work.
Oh yeah, amazing, isn't it?
They
Amazing.
don't
You
work,
could
that's
wrap
the
these
point.
magnetic field lines around a ball. It works out really well to deluded people that think they're on a ball, that beg the question and assume their outcome. It works really well when you wrap these around a ball, these magnetic poles,
I'm
all
not
4
going to
of
go
them.
ahead until he stops talking.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, I just have a question. Okay, this is for me because I'm looking at this for the first time. If we took this map that's on screen right now and wrapped it around a ball, wouldn't those 2 points at the top be the same? So that's 1, and then the 2 points at the bottom wrap around and refer to the same point, so that's 2. But because it's put out in this way,
No. You'd have the blue part over here matching up with the blue part over there, and the red part over here would line up with the red part over there. But that still gives you 2. And there's another one down
anyone
here.
can look up where the location of the south magnetic pole is and north magnetic pole. There's only 2 poles, okay? So if we want to be semantic, look at a map
we are
and say,
denying this.
look at
Sorry,
these field lines.
Tim.
That's fine.
So you are, in fact, a denier. You're a denier. Yeah. You're just going to deny this map, then?
So are you?
No,
we're applying it.
I'm not referencing north. Your example did, Mate 4.
Don't you deny this map, though?
Sorry, we were given an example, Tim, yeah, of an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy about stars and their rotation points, and how we look at them when we use north. My question to Mate 4, what's north? What's south? And it got a little
we
giggle.
don't need it.
Now we've got it on screen, and we seem to have a panel full of deniers.
You don't even need a compass to get north, south, east,
Why
west.
did you tell us we did then? The other day, your example was all about the compass, man. What kind of fucktard are you?
No, Make 4, you need to know how you're going to get south. And if we've got a north pole and we've got a south pole, we have a problem with, because your picture, your cartoon, doesn't match what we find when we look at what actually is supposed to be there. Now, we're not saying this is true, but what we're saying is this is not the same as what that's saying. And this is your science, and this is your belief.
Guys, anyway, there's a north and a south magnetic pole. If you guys want to...
Preach it, brother. Ignore the map. I deny. You're just a denier, Tim. It's pretty sad, by all accounts. You just deny this stuff. You would prefer to take the word of a cartoon over a very accurate map with all the magnetic lines on it because you're a denier. Just a pathetic denier.
Just the same way that you deny being able to get north, south, east, west without a compass.
You're stupid,
Is
Mate
the
4.
magnetic pole over Antarctica or not?
Why don't you look it up?
Well,
it's on screen.
No, I want to know
right
the official
now.
narrative on this.
It's on screen.
Why don't you Google it?
You can look at it.
for
It's
the
on
official
screen.
You guys should know this.
It's on screen.
I know. This is the. I know. I'm asking.
So you can look
what
at
is
it
the
then, Arwin. You don't
official
need to ask me any
declaration?
questions. Just look at it.
I know.
So
I'm
why are you
just
asking me
asking
where
what
it is
the
then when it's on
official
screen and you can
narrative on
see
it?
it?
Arwin, this is
There's
the
only
official
two,
narrative.
Orwin.
This is the official narrative.
Right.
Oh,
so
great!
I
Here we
don't see
go.
Antarctica
Here we
there.
go.
But I don't
thank
see
you so much for
Antarctica
bringing
there.
this up. Okay, so the
you'll
geographic
take this
North
one
Pole
then,
is
will you,
not
Tim?
at the magnetic
You'll take this
axis.
one.
Okay,
This
so
one
the
works with your
geographic
religion,
South
does
Pole
it?
is not at
This
the-
cartoon.
Okay, very good.
We're
Yeah,
not
this
making
one's great.
my
For
declination.
example,
This one's wicked.
And that's
Man,
not the
I
point.
could just see myself navigating with this. This cartoon looks like it'll work out great with your religious beliefs.
Yeah,
The stars,
much
the
better.
stars
Thank
do a
you.
pretty good job, Nathan.
Yeah,
You
man,
just use
wicked
the stars
cartoon.
and the
This
sun.
looks super accurate. Looks like a really good map. Just the kind that people use to navigate with.
Just use the
Absolutely.
stars and the sun. Stars
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
sun's
man.
been
Where
working
are they?
for a few
Are they
thousand
in
years
this
now.
picture? Where's the stars in this picture?
does there
Mate
does there
4,
exist
just use
a
the
ball model
Arwin,
with the
hold on.
magnetic
Hold on,
declination
Arwin.
lines?
Hold on, Arwin. See this picture? Show me the stars that we're going to be using.
So is there
Oh
4
my
poles
God.
on this picture?
Oh my
So
god,
does
I
this
made a
debunk the
stupid
last-
comment about using stars from a cartoon.
How many poles is on this one, Riley?
This cartoon?
Poles.
How many magnetic axes are
It's a
there?
cartoon, Tim. Are you dumb?
Wasn't the last one a cartoon, and now you called me a denier for not believing it?
That map's a map. You know what the
Oops.
difference between a map and a cartoon
Hypocritical.
is?
Anyway, can we
I
talk
don't
about
tend to
Salt Lake
refer to
City?
maps as cartoons. This, I definitely call this a cartoon.
Do you guys want to talk about Salt Lake City and the
For a
evidence? of
start,
curvature
I just
type?
point out a few unrealistic features. We can see the centre of the Earth in this cartoon, Tim.
Where's
There's a giant
200
hole.
feet of this building?
Is that
Then
where
where's
you
100
New York,
live,
though?
Tim? Do
that's
you
on
think you
as
can see
well?
the corner of the Earth with the centre of the core being exposed? Is that
I've
realistic?
already, I have 2 videos about magnetic declination and what Riley's doing.
Yeah,
so
this
you
one
can go
looks more
watch my
like it.
videos.
Is this a
I've
better
already done
cartoon
them.
for your religious belief,
Tim,
Tim?
do we agree that all the fields would go north to south in a north to south direction?
No, I don't. I don't agree with
Can
anything
I
that you
ask-
said.
Well,
Just
this
up
is your
front.
model, Tim. So where have we got it wrong?
You've got it wrong because you're trying to trick people with declination.
Yeah, whatever. So shout out to Peanuts Clark. Once you're given a charlatan power over you, you never get it back. Thank you for the show, Nathan. And thank you for the... Kids climbing all over me. Thank you for the super chat, Peanuts Clark. Also a shout out to the Mind of God. I might not be able to log in tomorrow. Jolly good.
Arwin, go ahead, buddy.
Please, I have a question for ballers
ahead,
in
buddy.
general. Could somebody find or create a ball model, say like Google Earth or whatever, using those magnetic, that magnetic line map, and just wrap it around a ball and see what it is supposed to be like on a ball model according to you, just to give a good look, because that cartoon is just ridiculous.
It's on screen
It's
now.
It's not good for
It's on
any
screen
kind
now.
of-
This
It's
is
just
hold on, don't change the page, Anthony. Put it back on the magnetic. It's on screen now, Arwin. This
I know,
is a
I know. I'm
global
just
projection. Why are you interrupting me? This is a global projection.
I know.
Right, there you go. There you go. It's there for you right now.
Oh, so it's true. It is a
No.
God.
It's just a global
Oh.
projection.
So you don't believe this?
How do you think
No,
we
I
have
don't believe
maps
the
if we
maps
can't
we've got.
even
Do you know why I don't,
north,
Tim?
south, east,
Do
west?
you want to know why I don't? Because we've got thousands of maps and they're all different. So this map,
Yeah.
you telling me this is the
Agree.
right map of the world? No, I don't think so.
I don't either. Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
But it still shows
Anyway,
the magnetic lines.
Nate, we've never.
But it still shows the
sorry.
magnetic lines in reference to their countries and how they work.
Roger that. Hey,
Any of those
can
maps
anyone
that
explain
Riley
this
showed
observation?
Hold on,
accurate?
we don't
Salt Lake
seem
City?
to have any
By any
answers
chance?
from the
accurate or
globe
not?
heads. Why is there 4 of them, whereas in your cartoons of your religious belief, there's only 2?
There's only 2.
Oh, what? So the cartoon's the right one and this is the wrong one?
You're just reading it wrong. I'm
So
sorry.
I should read the cartoon better, because this one just looks
Yeah,
like a
you should.
Mercator projection, a map that people have used for centuries. That to actually do things with, it's a useful map, just with the magnetic lines put on top of it. Let's go back to the cartoon and
measured
see how
the-
useful the
who measured
cartoon
the
is.
lines?
How useful
Who
do you think
measured
this
the
pile
lines?
of shit is? The one that meets your religious standards, Tim?
South Celestial Pole, baby.
I asked Tim, make 4 answers. He's got a mental problem.
Navigation.
Yeah, there he goes again
Maps.
with his mental problem.
Map.
You're such a slogan guy, dude.
How do we make maps if we can't even navigate?
This
north
isn't a
south?
map. Hello,
you on
we're talking
the
about magnetic
sequitur,
field
the-
lines. Shut them all up. Talking about magnetic field lines, and in your religious belief, there's 2 poles. On the maps, there's 4. So the
It's a shame
cartoons
we
don't
don't
match
even
the
need
maps.
this. We don't even need this.
We don't need the maps. We don't need North, even though these are all your assertions, mate 4.
No, we don't even need
real
According to you,
really?
we look south and hold a compass. This is your example. We're ripping a new one. Now we don't need it. You're right, Anthony.
No, we
take
need
it off
the sun.
screen. We don't
use the
need
sun,
Mate
Nathan.
4's crap
Sun?
example about the stars. It proves nothing.
Sun,
He's
you're
right. We
rambling.
don't
we
need
agree
this.
to disagree and move on, Nate?
Agree to disagree. No, we're ripping your religion a new one, Tim.
It's a sad,
With the cartoon of the religion?
That's correct.
just
With a cartoon that shows the 2 poles you believe we have. Yeah, that's ripping it a new one. Because the map completely contradicts the cartoon of your religion. So we've got a bit of a problem. I'm pretty sure this one would be deemed more accurate than the cartoon. But if you want to believe the cartoon because it meets the standards of your religion, that's fine.
He's talking over us.
Yeah.
He just rambles.
Oh, it's just rambling. No, it's not just rambling. It's an absolute demolition of your religious belief in a 2-pole globe system. Because the only thing you've got to back it isn't the maps with the magnetic lines on, it's the cartoons for children.
Alright. We done with this subject?
West. We can't even determine north, south, east, west
this
now.
is Mate. Let's see if Mate 4 concedes that his example about going and looking at southern rotation
I won't
points.
concede because you're dumb.
Okay, guys, I've been convinced. Mate 4 made an absolutely exceptional argument here. We don't need south, we don't need the maps, we need to ignore them, but simultaneously we just need to look south to look at those rotating stars. Mate 4's a genius, I've been converted.
We got like a full panel. Can you like let other people talk for a minute, dude?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay,
like
fine,
okay,
Tim.
we've all heard your spiels, man. Can other people talk?
Why is it
know.
4 poles
Making the
when
best point
it
now.
shows 2 in the cartoons, Tim?
Exactly that.
Why it's
So how do
4
we
on the map,
navigate
2 on
in
the
there?
cartoon?
Talking?
You just rumpus me
Navigation.
now, you see? I ask a question and you rumpus me. There was a gap, I waited, I'm asking a question. Why is the 4 poles here and
There's no
2
4 poles, there's
poles
2. I've already answered
on
that.
the... Oh, you're going to rump... Why can't you just have a civil conversation, Tim? That's what you asked for.
There's 2 poles, okay?
So that's just an assertion of your religious faith in a cartoon, because the map show 4, Tim.
Oh my god.
Come on, Tim. You can't deny the map shows 4.
Still use the stars and the sun.
Point
Dude,
out the 4 poles.
just wrap it around the ball and show a demonstration of that. And then
don't-
we
we
can
don't
talk
even
again
need-
because
we
this
don't
is
need-
useless. This is official
We don't
red
need-
data.
It's
This
not
is
useless,
official
Aaron.
data.
It shows that there's more than 2 poles for whatever reason, and who cares why. But the point is, what was on screen right now does not support that.
The fact is, you can just use the sun and the stars as a compass. Durr.
They're not poles what you're looking at and thinking that they're poles. Anyway, can we switch
What
to
are
Salt
they?
Lake City
I mean,
observations and the
what
300
are they?
feet
Sorry,
of obstruction? How that works on
sorry,
a flat
is this-
Earth?
What are they, Tim?
Is this you dropping the southern rotation point then, Tim?
No, absolutely not.
You just said
That's
these
a
aren't
fact of life.
poles.
There's a
Put
north
the cartoon
celestial
back
point
on,
and there's a
Anthony.
south
Your
celestial
exact
point.
words,
There's
Tim.
equatorial star trails.
Sorry, Tim, your exact words. Put the cartoon back up, please, Anthony. You said these
you're
are
just
not
rambling,
poles.
Nathan.
You said these aren't
Rambling.
poles.
Rambling. Just rambling.
Just being rumpused by you, asshole.
No, go ahead and
North,
point
south,
out 4. Go ahead and bring that up, Anthony. Then point out the 4 that you see.
Well, you got these 2 here that are 1. You got these 2
Wait,
there
hold
that
on.
are 2.
Okay, I see that. Yeah,
You
those
got
are
what
poles.
looks like some kind of anomaly down here that's 3. And then depending on how you interpret these 2 together, you could argue that there's 4 there or 2 there. But either way, there's not 2 vertical, is there, opposite each other? All the field lines should be vertical, but for some reason they're not. So either way, whether it's 2, 3, or 4 poles, it's not 2.
Why do you say that all field lines should be vertical?
Because that's what your model tells us.
That they
All the
should be
field-
vertical.
All the field lines between the 2 poles should be vertical.
No, I think the official narrative is that the rotation point difference has a different location on the globe as the magnetic south pole. I think
Thank you.
No, this
Thank you,
tilted.
Arwen. You are correct. Thank
that
you,
is the
Arwen.
official narrative.
Right,
that
and
is
this
all.
is showing that.
Yes.
This
He's
is
trying
showing
to trick
that.
people.
You see that there's a pole going through. One of the poles is a different color to the other. One is the rotation axis, and the other one is the magnetic north pole and south pole. Who cares? The points are that it should be vertical field lines throughout the whole Earth because of North Pole and South Pole. But for some reason, there's
How do you
something else going
justify
on.
that it should be vertical field lines? And also, how do you justify NOAA, which is going to be probably satellite data that are satellites are fake? So you're using their data that's against your whole narrative. I don't understand what you're doing.
This still doesn't
You believe
explain
this
how-
map?
You think they made
believe that map?
declination based on satellites? Is that your position, Tim?
I never said
This-
that once.
This still doesn't
said-
make your model work. Your model doesn't
No,
work.
we're not saying it's making our model work. We're saying it's not consistent with what we're told is your model. There's a difference between the two positions.
Doesn't make your model work though. You don't have
You
a
don't
working
have a
model.
model,
Another straw
moron.
man. So
I know you
completely
don't.
ignore Anthony and then straw man him. Right.
So anyway, can we switch the subject to Salt Lake City? I've never gotten an answer from you guys. I really wanted to hear
What
what you
about us
guys
not
thought
getting an
about
answer
this.
from you?
I already did. We've already talked about it. I've made 2 videos on declination actually.
what's the answer
So
to
I've
the
corrected
question,
you
why does
on
there
my
appear
channel.
to be a mishmash of nonsense? How does that support
Because
that?
you're reading the magnetic field lines wrong, okay? So
Okay,
let's move on to
Wrong.
Salt Lake.
There
Where's
they
the
are.
mistake?
Hold on. We haven't done any reading. There they are. Look at them.
You're saying there's 4 poles.
Paul
Okay,
Voigt
I
just
say there's
I can
2.
see 4 poles.
wait a
Yes,
minute.
that's correct.
wait. Paul Voigt just said in chat the lines on that map are not magnetic field lines. They are contours of magnetic declination. They have nothing to do with magnetic field.
He doesn't. That's the thing. They just bring up stuff and they don't know what they're talking about. So can
Yeah,
can we
sorry,
just?
as asserted on multiple occasions and in the title, field declination.
Sorry?
Yeah, I described it as a magnetic declination map.
So are the
and-
magnetic field lines
Sorry,
then, Nathan?
as far as I'm concerned, neither of you two Muppets have seen this map before now.
I don't think any of us here are smart enough to understand that
Am
map.
I correct? Neither of you two
That's
Muppets have
just
seen
you,
this
Make
map
for.
before now.
No,
correct?
no. Paul would probably come in and say
No, we've seen it before. We described it.
Paul would probably come in.
I just want to see a demonstration on the globe model. So
Oh, we're
get to
going to
work,
call in the
please.
Paul. Paul will save these Muppets from this absolute
I think you
obliteration
guys
based
need
on their
to-
religious
you
faith.
guys need to do the work on your model.
Why are you rumpusing me? I was in the middle of a sentence. I get
We don't-
accused of it.
This
You assholes
basically
are doing
is
it
my
to me.
model.
Yeah,
Luke,
it's all right,
please
lads.
do
I don't mind. We're devastating your religious belief. Your religious belief is
By
based on...
bringing up
Why am I
satellite
being
data?
rumpused again? Being rumpused by Tim. Simultaneously by
What
Make
are you
for
talking
Anthony. These
about?
guys are clearly very triggered about
What are
their
you
religion being
smoking?
demolished. Why would you be
Everyone's
so
rumpus-
annoyed?
This
Why
is
would you
not
want to talk
satellite
over me?
data.
Rumpus the hell out of me.
This is land measurements.
I don't think he knows that he gets cut
Can't
off when other
measure
people talk while he's
you
talking.
can't measure magnetics from such a distance. It's ridiculous.
I know that's
Land
Tim's-
measurements.
Tim said that it was done by satellites.
It's ridiculous.
What is it done by? Is it done by ground-based?
Yeah.
uh, Oh, who cares? I love when you say
Tim,
who
this
cares.
is your
It makes me
research.
laugh every time.
So this
When
is
someone
a
brings up like
distraction.
a
We're now
demographic
trying to
thing,
explain-
like, who cares?
Sorry, just
Who
to get a bit of
cares?
control. So we've got a different map. Says main field total intensity, and there you go, bit more clear. 4 poles.
They are contours of magnetic declination, regions where the declination is the same. Nathan is making himself look idiotic.
Make 4,
That's a
read
daily
what it says.
thing, man.
Make 4, read what it says at the top.
Just field strength. This is not the directions of the magnetic field. That
the
the other
field
one is
strength.
This is just the
Right.
strength.
Yeah.
Yeah, the strength. So the strength
Is wobbling
This
all
is-
over the
this
place.
is
Yes.
Dunning-Kruger
Right.
effect, right?
So-
here.
Not Dunning-Kruger. This is a map these two Muppets haven't seen and are relying on the chat, whilst 2 minutes ago were telling us the cartoons are more accurate.
I'm still waiting for that flat Earth model to come in.
Oh, here we go, another straw man. So here is what they said 2 minutes ago was an accurate representation, and we should all accept this. Now we're being told that the magnetic field declination map's not actually relevant and laughable, and we've got Dunning-Kruger. No, it demonstrates... Oh, little giggle, fair enough. Same technique that Make 4 uses, pathetically speaking. So, there's your 4 poles. You can deny it all you like, but there they are.
Yep, those are all
250
poles.
people.
Those are all. There's 5 poles on this map. What a
No, you can laugh it up all you like. So you think there's 2 poles. There's the field lines, and there's 4 poles. You don't have to like it, but it demolishes your religious faith in a ball with 2 poles.
You still
This
didn't explain
demolishes
to me.
a flat plane existence, actually, because half of this building is being obstructed.
Oh, another straw man. So, still not addressing the point. Wow, this is pretty pathetic from the globe side. Here we are, having asked on multiple occasions of people like Make 4, what do you mean by south? The minute we bring the map up, just get laughter. Amazing that, isn't it?
Now,
Jesus.
now you're showing a map of magnetic field strength, which is also not a map of magnetic field lines.
Magnetic field strength is not a map of magnetic field strength. I think you'll find it's a map of magnetic field strength, which is pretty much exactly what we're saying it is, and it doesn't match the cartoons that your religious faith says the Earth is. This one with
Plain truth, me and you should talk sometime. I heard you talk about the Chicago skyline.
Oh, yeah, another straw man. So we're going to ignore this little problem. We're going to deny the maps. We're going to deny that they're showing magnetic field lines. And then we're going to talk about something else. No. Sorry, globehead religious zealots. We're talking about magnetic field lines.
Okay, let's keep talking about this then. Sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep talking about it.
Why is the
what do you want to know?
What does this read down here, Tim? What are the 3 words on screen?
Let's see. That says magnetic field lines right there. Yep.
Yeah. So when we go to this picture, and this is a picture that says main field declination, or we go to this one, which is the main field total intensity. Can we not say that these field lines are the same field lines that are depicted in this?
No.
Yeah, it proves flat Earth. Yeah, I agree.
No, let's not make light of this situation, Tim. This is the devastating point that you're now obfuscating. So we do have the same thing. One demonstrates 4 poles. One demonstrates 2 poles. You've only obfuscated it for about 20 minutes.
There's like an elephant in the room, and it's Nathan Oakley. Like this.
Yeah, there's 4 poles on the maps. There's 2 poles on the cartoons. That's the elephant in the room. You're not addressing it.
So,
Nathan, I
how
think
does
you
this,
need to pay.
how does
You
this
need to pay
happen
Paul
on your
for
flat
situation.
plane?
Who cares how it happens on our flat plane?
Oh, who cares? We're just saying the Earth is flat, but we don't care about how it works. We don't.
No, so we've had an assertion from an imbecile named Make4, who has asserted that we need to look south. And when we ask how we're looking south, we're looking at magnetic field lines on a compass. So this is based on your Muppet assertion about rotating star points, Tim.
Nathan, I think you need a lesson.
Magnetic has nothing to do with the celestial points, you clown.
Oh, does it not? Oh, right. Do you want to tell that to Make4? He told us to get our compasses out.
No, you just need the sun and the stars. You don't even need
it's all right.
a compass.
Tim's going to school you now, Muppet. Make4. Tim will now school you, lest he be a bigot and a hypocrite.
Anyway, can we switch the subject?
Do you want to just tell Make4 what you've told us, Tim?
This still doesn't explain the stars in the sky that I see.
Make4, according to the guy on your own side.
You're still not explaining the southern celestial pole, bro.
You seem to be chickling. What's the problem?
They can't make forward.
You've got 3 of them. How does navigation work?
Who cares?
Who cares?
Who cares?
Have them.
Who cares? We can see it because it's there, but we can't see it because it's not there because of the curvature of the Earth.
Tim, why are they not consistent?
Why are what not consistent?
The 2 images that I'm flicking between on the screen, why are they not consistent? Any moron with girly ankles can work out that they're not the same.
What are you talking about? Are you still talking about the field lines, dude?
Yeah, they're not consistent with each other. They should support each other, right? But they don't.
Oh, Riley.
The
magnetic strength has nothing to do with the direction of the magnetics. It really doesn't. We went into this like half a year ago. Come on.
Yeah. We've been through all this stuff.
Oh my God. Dude.
Yeah, it does. Because
Arwen, you know that he tries to troll you and get under your skin. I think you know that, bro.
All right. So, Arwen, you actually think that this is allowed to be excused on the basis that intensity...
It's not. It's a ridiculous toy model.
You're right.
It's too much info compacted into one. It's like an introduction cartoon. It's nothing. But this is really...
there is a North Pole and there is a South Pole on their model, right? Magnetic, yeah. And all the fields, however intense they are, go in a north to south direction. But when we look it up, it turns out that they don't. They appear to go in an east to west direction, Arwen.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm not entirely certain because this map, basically the real map, that measures out what is there on land. It's not a 3D map.
I don't think
Hold on! Make4, shut the freaking hell up. I'm still explaining. Right?
I think no one here does.
The
real map.
Right. So on the map, that's land measurement. In the model, they're already going to 3D, so those lines outside are supposedly going to be the outside field that will protect us against the radiation from the sun, blah, blah, blah. that's purely theoretical because there has been no practical
Are you just
aerial measurements of magnetics. These are land-based magnetics. That's a
Are you
difference.
being a prick for the fun of it?
No, I'm
So,
just being I'm just
Anthony-
being accurate, and I'm not
Anthony, I
proposing
have,
that the ball is real. I'm just saying that this is how it is
I have
portrayed.
how it works on the flat Earth up. If you can click my picture, so we have our magnetic field lines here.
There's no science for a flat Earth, Tim.
No, I have it. I have it right
Oh,
here.
You're gonna write some history out for us, some science out for us, are you?
Yes. So these magnetic field lines, it seems as though there's two core. There's a core here. It says tech core, and there are two magnetic fields here. So basically, what I'm doing here is doing the same thing that you're doing to me, bringing up something that quote unquote fits my bias, and then make you explain it. So how does this work on the flat Earth exactly?
Well, I wouldn't
These
describe it
magnetic
like that
field
personally.
lines.
I would describe it the way Nathan's got it in his thumbnail. If you look at Nathan's thumbnail, Nathan, perhaps you could bring it up, Nathan.
And how are we to empirically validate any of this?
Well, you can change the way you perceive what we're told in terms of the field intensity map. Put it onto a flat plane, and then all of a sudden you've got a central point, which is not in the middle of what looks like subterranean. It's actually on the surface, and it wouldn't represent the core of the Earth. It would represent the sky above us. But I don't think Nathan's actually here. Nathan, are you still here?
Don't bring him back, please. Don't summon him.
Can you put that AE map representation on? We know with the four things in the middle.
Yeah, you can just check out.
Oh, I got it right here.
No, that's not what I'm referring to.
Oh, okay.
Somebody scribbles on the back of a napkin and they're not really credible, are they? Let's be honest, that's worse than you guys.
So wait up, how did we navigate back in the day again?
Who cares?
What about the South Celestial Pole?
Who cares?
Where's your model?
I just want to sit there and fight with you all day because it makes
we have
have a hard on.
Do we have a model? When are we going to get a model, guys?
Are you a drunk?
When
Right?
we get $50 million a day, mate.
I have a model.
John
I have a model. You're looking at it when you're looking at that map. That's my model.
Shout out to Paul Voigt. You guys need to talk to Paul Voigt, man. He'll like
go and talk to him.
probably help you a lot. I know you guys want.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!